In today's video, we are going to wrap up the SOC Level 1 capstone challenges. This is the very last room and the last task, the last challenge inside of the SOC Level 1 pathway, and it is Boogeyman Part 3. So this is the third round that we're going to take against the Boogeyman. The last two rounds, he got his tail handed to him. I almost cursed. This is it. This is the last round. And after this room and after this video, we're officially going to be done with the SOC Level 1 capstone challenges, and it's literally the very, very last step in completing SOC Level 1. So this is what we have right here, Boogeyman Part 3. And then I guess, I don't know if I'll get another certificate for SOC Level 1 because I've finished it once already. So it would be interesting to see how that's going to play out. And so we have the introduction as it usually plays out, and then they give us like a mini little story, a little scenario, and then there's the chaos that's inside, which is essentially just the series of questions that is inside one major task, one big task. And that's pretty much going to be it. That's going to be the whole thing that we're going to do to take care of Boogeyman for one last final time. And the machine, this is the attack box that I'm using right now, and the attack box is going to be used to attack this specific, not really attack the victim machine. This IP address that we've been assigned over here is the IP address for Kibana Elk Stack. So Kibana is a SIM tool, and Elk Stack or Elastic Stack is the tool that is available inside of, it's an open source SIM, open source security information and event manager tool that we can use essentially to go through the events. So instead of using command lines and instead of using a series of tools, in this particular case, we're actually going to be using one main tool. Probably, I think we're going to be using one main tool. And then from there, we're just going to pull all of the data and all of the information for the investigation from Elastic Stack Kibana. So that is the overall intro, or I guess I should say there's a few other pieces to it as well. I'll go through these separately, but that's kind of like the overview of what we're going to be doing today. If you're serious about your CySec training and want access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers: the supporter, agent, guardian, and master. Each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The agent, guardian, and master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every month, bug bounties, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button there, or you can go to youtube.com/@hankhacks/hackers/join, and you will be able to join Hackaholics Anonymous. Now, without further ado, let us jump into the Boogeyman 3 room. Alright, so here's the final chapter to our Boogeyman story. Due to the previous attacks of the Boogeyman, Quick Logistics LLC has hired a managed security service provider to handle the Security Operations Center, the SOC. Little did they know the Boogeyman was still lurking and waiting for the right moment to return. And in this video, in this room, we're going to be analyzing the new tactics, techniques, and procedures of the threat group named Boogeyman. The prerequisites are these various rooms. So obviously Boogeyman parts 1 and 2, investigating with Elk, Itsy Bitsy, and Sysmon. And all of these are actually available on the channel. So if you go to the channel homepage and click on this search button right here and do a search like Itsy Bitsy, I think that's how you spell it. It comes up. So Itsy Bitsy is the room, and this is like an exercise that we did for Elastic Stack and Kibana, and it's also a part of the 3.5-hour sim course that we did over here as well. So that is available for you. And same thing with Sysmon, and same thing with investigating with Elk. Actually, I think pretty much this compilation video that's available over here, I think this actually has all of the what is it? We have Intro to Sim right here, investigating with Elk, Itsy Bitsy. I believe it has everything. I think Sysmon might be a separate video, but again, you could just find it by just searching on the channel for it. And then Boogeyman parts 1 and 2 were literally the last 2 videos that I did before this one. So that is the prerequisites, more so that you understand how to actually work with Kibana from Elk Stack, from Elastic Stack. And just to have a context of everything that we've done for this freaking Boogeyman group that has been attacking the company. I've already launched the virtual machine that has the Elastic Stack on it. I've already launched AttackBox, which is the browser version of a Linux computer that we're going to be using, a Linux virtual machine that we're going to be using to connect to the Elastic Stack server. You can also just connect to it via VPN. So if you have a membership with TryHackMe, then you can use OpenVPN, connect to the TryHackMe server via VPN, and then from there, as long as you launch this machine, it's this machine right here. This is the button. This is a bright green button. So once you launch that, you will get this IP address over here. It's going to be a different IP address for you specifically, because as soon as I end this video, this IP address is just going to be taken down. So the IP address that you want for yourself is going to be generated separately, and then your Elastic Stack, your instance of Elk Stack Elastic Kibana will be connected to the IP address that they issue to you, and you'll see how we access it. It's very easy. You literally just go to this http:// inside of the Firefox browser or inside of Chrome or whatever it is that you end up using, and the username and password has been provided to us as well. So that's pretty much it. That's the whole setup of the room. That's all the prerequisites and everything that we need for the introduction. So now what we can do is we can actually jump inside of what's going on in this case. And it seems to be that, again, this is just a continuation and they're doing yet another phishing campaign. So let's get the details here. So this time around, the Boogeyman group was able to compromise one of the employees and stayed in the dark. They didn't trip any of the security defenses of quick logistics, so intrusion detection or anything of that sort. And they were actually able to compromise the employee and waiting for the right moment to continue the attack. And using the initial email that we see right here, the threat actors attempted to expand the impact by targeting the CEO, which is Evan Hutchinson. So this email that we see right here apparently is addressed to Evan Hutchinson. So let's see right here. It doesn't say the email address, so we're going to have to actually pull it up, open the email address to be able to see it. But it says, "Dear Evan, we require your urgent attention for the review of an important financial document. Your insights are crucial to proceed effectively. Could you please allocate a brief window for this review? Your prompt response is appreciated. Best regards, Ali Sierra, Chief Finance Officer, Quick Logistics LLC." And Ali Sierra at quicklogistics.org. So that seems like a legitimate email right there, but you can essentially just hyperlink any text to look like that. So it could be pointing to a malicious email address, right? So, and then the email right here is ali.sierra at quicklogistics.org. So that even seems legit. So let's see if that is indeed the email that is supposed to look like. But for the most part, it looks like a good email, right? It looks like it's coming from the CFO, the Chief Finance Officer. And of course, the title of it says urgent financial matter requiring immediate action. I don't know why I can't zoom in like on it anymore, but it says urgent financial matter requiring immediate action. So it's kind of something that is grabbing the CEO's attention. Ali Sierra is somebody that probably exists inside of their company. So, you know, the Boogeyman group has done their due diligence and they've done their research. And usually they do a good amount of research. It's just that we always catch them because we're better than them. So the email appeared questionable, but Evan still opened the attachment despite the skepticism. After opening the attached document and seeing nothing happened, Evan reported the phishing email to the security team. Upon receiving the phishing email report, the security team investigated the workstation of the CEO. During this activity, the team discovered the email attachment in the downloads folder of the victim. So we have Project Financial Summary Q3 PDF over here. So that's basically it. And then in addition, the security team also observed a file inside the ISO payload as shown in the image above. So we can actually see this PDF right here, which it's very interesting. So it has a .pdf extension, but when you look at the type of it, it says it's a disk image file. A disk image file is an ISO file. So it should have technically a .iso extension, but in this particular case, it does not have a .iso extension. Then there is a file inside of the ISO payload as shown in this image where we actually open it up, open the ISO. So now we're inside of the DVD drive, right? So when we open it up, we can see that there's a Q3 PDF on here. Now let me just kind of clarify something for myself. So they investigated the workstation of the CEO. During this, the team discovered the email attachment in the downloads folder of the victim. So this, yeah, okay, so for sure, the first conclusion was right. So they're technically right now in this image, in this screenshot right here, they're still looking at the CEO's computer, and inside of the downloads folder of the CEO, they have this disk image. For a second, I thought that maybe the security team took an image of the CEO's computer, and then that's where they were able to find this PDF document. But that is not the case. They're actually looking at it on the CEO's computer, from what it sounds like. So it was presumed by the security team that the incident occurred between August 29th and August 30th. So these are going to be the times that we're going to zoom in on Kibana. And given the initial findings, you are tasked to analyze and assess the impact of the compromise. And what is the PID of the process, etc. So all of these things, I'm not going to go through the list of the questions. We'll just go through them one by one together. But that is really all of the context that we're going to get on what happened. So we're going to open up Firefox, and then we're going to go to our Elastic Stack instance inside of Firefox, and we're going to start the investigation. And that's essentially it. I'm going to open this up inside of a new window so we have a full screen version of this, as we usually do with these types of exercises. And I'm going to open up the outline of the course, or not the course, the outline of the questions and everything in a separate window. So we have that. So now we're going to go right here. We'll do http:// and then we will paste the IP address, press enter, and we now have Elastic Stack Elk loading, and our name is Elastic and password is Elastic, and I'll save it, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. So it's going to take a couple of seconds for this to load. And the very first thing that we're looking for in the question says, what is the PID of the process that executed the initial stage payload? So that's the first question. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this menu on the left-hand side right here. We're going to go into the Discover portion right here so we can see this real quick. So on the menu, we have Discover. And then usually when you click on Discover, it says there's no results or whatever. The thing has actually been loaded for us. So let me actually see if I can find that real quick, because it should say also what index that we're using or what file has been loaded for us. It doesn't. So let me click on this D right here, and okay, that's not there either. In either case, usually when they give us, oh, there we go. My bad. It's literally right on the page. So winlogbeat is the index that we're looking at in this particular case. And it seems to be that's the only index that we have available. So that's all good. Usually when you load something inside of any SIM software, it gives you the most recent or the smallest chunk of time in the most recent period. So you have the last 15 minutes. So this is the first thing that we need to adjust. And it's August 29th and August 30th. So that's basically what it is. So when you click on that customize or adjustment portion, it gives you different ranges. So you can do from 15 minutes ago to now, or I can go to absolute right here and then change the time to where I need it to be. So I need it to be 2023. I need it to be August. And then it's going to start from August 29th. So I'll do August 29th. And then the timestamp is basically going to be 00 August 29th. So that's when it'll start. And then we will go to on this now button, and we're going to do this also absolute. And then again, we're going to go to 2023. And then over here, we're going to go to August. And then it's going to be August 30th, which is right there. And then I'm going to do the last timestamp, which is 2330. So we're going from the beginning of August 29th, 2023 to the end of August 30th, 2023. And then we're just going to click update, and we should have some data. So there we go. We have 28,000 hits that are available on this particular time. So now we have everything loaded, okay? So let's jump into the actual investigation here. The first question is, what is the PID of the process that executed the initial stage 1 payload? The only information that we really have is the fact that there is Evan Hutchinson, which is the CEO, and we have the name of the file, which is this project financial summary Q3 PDF. So I can go ahead and basically you could just search for a file name, right? And from there you can kind of see what shows up. So the very first thing that we could do is we could just search for this. So what is it? Project financial summary underscore q3.pdf, like that. So there we go. That's the first thing that we have right here. You could just search for that and then see what actually narrows down this thing to. So it went from 28,000 to 4 hits, right? So we have now 4 hits in this particular case. So we have all of this data that you see right here. And from this data, there are different things that we can look at, because as you can see, it's kind of just a bunch of jumbled up stuff that's gathered together. And then on the left side, we can essentially just look at specific columns or specific data points that we can pull, fields that we can pull, that will then organize all of these 4 hits that we have based on the information that might actually be interesting to us. So for example, the file path, this is a common one. The host name is another common one. The script block for PowerShell is another common one. The process command line and the process name, parent process, and of course the winlog event ID. So now when you do this and we zoom out, now we have a little bit of interesting organized information. So the PowerShell file script block is irrelevant. There's nothing in here. So I'm just going to delete that to kind of make things a little bit organized here. We have the time, we have the file path, and that seems to be also irrelevant. So I'll just go ahead and delete the file path. There's an X button right next to all of these things, so we can just remove those columns. So we do have the host name here, and we have the process command line, the process name, process parent command line, and then the winlog event ID. Those are the columns that actually have values that would be of interest to us. So the question is, what is the PID of the process that executed the initial stage 1 payload? So there are a few things that we can use to see what the initial command was, right? The initial thing was. You can literally just look at the timestamps. So initial meaning first. So you want to see what was the first thing that was launched, basically. And it goes from, so this is the early ones, and then the one at the top would be the later ones. So this would be the very first thing that has been launched. This is the computer that it was launched on, quick logistics. This is the command that it was launched. mshtaexe would be the executable, the process name that's available over there. And then Windows Explorer exe is the parent command line, the parent process command line. So the mshta.exe, whatever, that's the thing. So now I need the actual PID field so I can be able to pull that information real quick. So let me find the PID field real quick. All right, there is a field called the process PID, as we can see right here. So process PID would be the one that I put as the column. We have 6392 as the answer over there. So let's try 6392. Let's see if that is indeed the answer. And what do you know? It actually is the answer. So there you go. So process PID is 6392. The host name, which will probably be useful to us, is going to be the workstation 0051. That's the host name. Let's see if we can actually find the username as well. Usually there is a field that's associated with the user that this belongs to. There we go, username. So if we add the username in this particular case, let me add that. Boom. And then when you actually highlight the username, I don't know if you saw that pop-up that came up. So when I click on the username, we can see that the 5 values that actually belong to Evan Hutchinson. So Evan.Hutchinson, and then we see it on the right here as well. So Evan.Hutchinson is our user, and let's actually also get the IP address that would be relevant to this guy. So I can, instead of scrolling, I can always just do IP, and then we can see destination IP, DNS resolved, host IP, and the host IP would be the one that I would be interested in. So I will do host IP over there as well, and we will be able to get that information, and it has the 1010, 15, 159, etc., etc. So I'm just gonna start a little text document on my other monitor here to just note these things, because I feel like they will be useful to us as we go along this exercise here. So let's note these. I'm gonna note these, and then we'll just move on to question number 2. All right, question 2 says the stage 1 payload, can I zoom in here? The stage 1 payload attempted to implant a file to another location. What is the full command line value of this execution? So if we go here, we have our series of events, right? So we have Emeshta, or whatever this thing was, that was the very initial stage 1 payload that was downloaded and it ran. And then the very next event that took place was this thing right here that also has to do with the project financial summary Q3, etc. And it's this thing right here. So we have the Windows system xcopy, and the xcopy executable is actually something I believe that is used to copy files from one location to another one, and moving files around the system, so to speak. So that is the full command that we have over here. It's under the process command line. So I'm going to just copy this. We're going to copy xcopy is what we're going to do. So we're just going to grab that full thing and right click on that. Let's click copy, go over here, drop it, press enter. Cool. There we go. So that is question number 2. Now, question number 3. The implanted file was eventually used and executed by the stage 1 payload. What is the full command line value of the execution? So we're just moving down the line here. So this was eventually used and executed by the stage 1 payload. So if we go at the next event in line that we have over here, it is this one. This is the very next one. So we have the run DLL executable is the one that ran, and it took the file and actually ran it. So we're just going to copy that, boom, and then come back here, and then we're going to paste that, press enter. There we go. We're making pretty solid progress. All right, the next question, question number 4, says that the payload was established a persistence mechanism. What is the name of the scheduled task created by the malicious script? So we're going to go back over here, and it's going to be basically this last item that we have, and it is going to create a script, or a scheduled task, right? So he's using PowerShell. He's gonna run schedule task action, execute run DLL32, argument user local temper, deregister. I need to actually look at that thing because there's more value here. So let's see if we can kind of expand on this a little bit. So I will remove the winlog event ID. Let's see if that'll actually help us a little bit. And I've already noted the IP address and the username, so I'll just remove those guys too. And so, all right, so now we have a full view of this thing. So what do we have? The new scheduled task, where is it? We have the DLL register, review.data, the new scheduled task manager, daily at this time, new scheduled task setting, new principal, username, and then task action, trigger, principal, So what do we have? The task review input object, deforce. I want to say it's this thing. So register scheduled task review. I would like to say that that's the name. So there's also, again, this isn't something that I'm not shy about, that we can always use to kind of understand what's going on, right? So we can always just go to one of our friendly tools, which is our friendly AIs. So in this particular case, I'm just going to use Gemini, and I'm going to paste the command, and simply I'm just going to say, what is the name of the scheduled task that is being created by this command? And that's it. And so just to kind of give you an idea, right? So it says, there we go. So the name of it is is called review. This is specified in the register scheduled task part of the command. If you really wanted to understand what was happening with that, you could literally just say, can you please explain the command in detail for me? The full command, right? So the full command in detail for me, and then I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll just paste the command one more time. And then so what it's going to do is it's going to go through the whole thing, and it's going to give you a great understanding of what the command is doing and the various elements of it, etc. So this is beyond the scope of this video. I'm not here to try to explain to you the very details of what this full thing is, but if you want to make sure that you really understand what's going on and not second guess yourself or be unsure about the answer like I just was, it's probably a good idea to go through these types of situations and actually review these commands to see what's being done. So I am going to do it. It's just that I'm not going to sit here and explain it, because I just showed you how to go ahead and retrieve that information for yourself. And one of my goals always is to just kind of give you, teach you how to fish, so to speak. I don't want to just spoon feed everything to you. So we're going to try to find the answers for this investigation, but you can easily just go ahead and pull that information, go to your favorite AI chatbot, and then from there have it explain everything to you, and you'll see what is going on. And it just gives you more context. It gives you a stronger frame of reference for everything else that you're going to be doing as you study cybersecurity and develop your skill set. So the answer is indeed review. And now we can move on to the next question. The execution of the implanted file inside the machine has initiated a potential C2 connection, a command and control connection. What is the IP and port that's used by this connection? So one of the things that we got at the very, very beginning was that they kind of hinted that you need to know about Sysmon. And Sysmon is something that has event IDs and it has event names that are associated with it. So we need to obviously pivot because we ran out of hits on this particular one. So we need to actually adjust our overall search query here from the project financial summary into something else. So we know that the tool that's being used is PowerShell to actually run these commands and do the things that they do. So we can actually search for PowerShell.exe. Let me make sure I spell these things correctly. And then we can say and, right? So you can essentially combine queries like this, right? So you can say PowerShell.exe and the event dot, let's see what I can find as far as categories or various extensions of this event are concerned. We can even actually do this. So I'm gonna erase everything else. I'm gonna press enter. Obviously it's gonna give me way more hits because anything that was done on PowerShell is for a lot of things that can be done. So anything that was done on PowerShell is going to obviously show up. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear our fields, right? I'm going to clear all of my fields over here, and I'm going to look for any potential event correlated type of a category or event. I think it's a provider or something that would be available to us because we're looking for the Sysmon stuff, anything that's available for Sysmon. So if I click on event provider, so we see Windows, Microsoft Windows Sysmon is the name of the event provider. So we could do and event provider, event.provider is going to be Microsoft Windows Sysmon. So let's do Microsoft Windows. Oh, whoops, I need to separate it by dashes. Microsoft Windows Sysmon. There we go. And it actually kind of gives you the automatic fill as well. If you have a general idea of what you're looking for, it'll help you do that. So so we do PowerShell, Microsoft Windows Sysmon. It doesn't really narrow it down much. We still have 7,000 events that we need to go to. So the main thing that we're interested in is a connection, right? So when you think about a C2 connection, it's essentially establishing a network connection for you. So we can go, I'll just do it inside of Gemini since we're already kind of starting this conversation. So I'm interested in the event IDs, right? So what Sysmon event ID would be related to a C2 connection. And we can just do that. And then it'll give you potential event IDs. So there we go. So the most relevant one is Sysmon event ID 3, which is for network connections. And here's why, so on and so forth. So we're looking for network connections, basically. So we will go and do event ID. So that would be the next thing that we're going to kind of combine for here. So we will do and, so we're adding another filter on top of that. So it needs to be PowerShell, and it needs to be the event provider or Sysmon, and the event code, because it could be event ID as well, I think actually. So, but we'll do event code, and then we'll do 3 in the event code, see what shows up. 7,123 hits. So that's definitely not what I am interested in, or maybe, I don't know. So let's try event ID. Let's see if it gives us anything better for event ID, and we'll do 3 on that. And nothing shows up for event ID, so it has to be event code. So we'll do event code, and that's what it is. And this is all the stuff that's available over here. So we do have PowerShell, we have all of these things. There should be some other stuff that we can potentially kind of organize. So let's see maybe if we can do and user would be what's his name, Evan Hutchinson, right? Hutchinson, like that. So let's see if anything shows up for Evan Hutchinson. Nothing. Or it's not user, I think it's username. I think that's the thing that I messed up on. So I'll just cut this off real quick and see what other information I can find, because there has to be a way that we can narrow this down even further to at least the host that we have. Or yeah, it's username, so that's my bad. So let's try to do and user.name, and then that would be Evan. There we go. So we actually have Evan Hutchinson as one of our people over here. And so we'll do that, and we'll press enter. 2,459 hits. So there's still a lot going on. So let's see what else we can narrow this down on. Since we are looking for a C2 server connection, we can go ahead and narrow this down by an IP address that we're connecting to. So if we go to right here, we have something called the destination IP. So if we go to the destination IP, we have this thing, which is not recognizable. This is the IP address of the CE. No, it's not the IP address of the CEO. One of these should be the IP address of the CEO, but we have this is the big one that there's a lot of conversations that are going out to. So that seems to be interesting. So let's see if we can actually narrow this down even further. So if I actually go ahead and click on this, so if I click on that, it'll add it to my query at the top right here, or right here, excuse me. It'll add it to my filters at the top right here. And from here, we can go ahead and press enter. Let's see if it'll narrow this thing down for us. So let's click on destination IP to add it to our field. So we actually do see everything is the destination IP that we just filtered. Okay, so that's good. So we need the port as well. So let me see what we can find for destination ports. We'll go ahead and do that and add that. So we have destination port is port 80. So 162 or 165.23. I'll just copy this because it's easier. So we'll just copy that IP address. We'll go over here, and I don't want my machine to expire because that would suck. Okay, so that is actually the answer. So it is the 165.232.170.151 on port 80. So that one's good. So let me just add a time right here. I really don't want this thing to crash in the middle, and that would suck. And we would have to go through this whole thing again, and it's a pain in the butt. All right, so we got the machine extended. Okay, great. So the machine is extended, and it's also extended on my second window. So that's a little like pro tip for you. When you extend the machine on one window, if you have it open in another window, you need to double check and verify that it's also running on the second window, because if it expires on the second window because for whatever reason the page wasn't refreshed or something, and the second window thinks that your machine expired, it'll just kick you out. Okay, cool. So there is that question, the execution of the implanted file, and we got it by kind of narrowing this thing down. And as I was looking at my second window, of course, my machine shrunk as well. So we got it by narrowing this down by looking at all of the PowerShell events, and then the event provider is Windows Sysmon. The event code is the 3 for network connections. And we also just honed in on everything that was being done for Evan Hutchinson. And then we looked at the destination IP address to see what was available. And the bulk of the data, the traffic that was going to destination IP addresses was the IP addresses, this external IP address right here. So it narrowed it down for us from Evan Hutchinson and the communications, I guess, that Evan Hutchinson's machine is having with all the other IPs. And it just happens to be that the destination IP, the big one, is that 165.232, and you just add the destination port at that point, and it just shows you the destination port. So we are good on that. So now the next question. So the question says, the attacker has discovered that the current access is a local administrator. What is the name of the process used by the attacker to execute a UAC, a user access control bypass? So the name of the process that was used by the attacker to execute it. And the attacker has discovered that the current access is a local admin. So we need to try to see what we can user access control. I think it's user access control or user account control. I believe that's what it stands for. So we need to kind of hone in on the IP address that was used, this destination IP address that has that C2 server, and the payload that is being used to execute all of these commands essentially. And we're going to find that payload. Let's scroll up because we can refer to everything that we've discovered in the investigation so far, right? So the Xcopy was used to take this review.dat or review.dat, which at first glance it kind of looks like a database or like a data file. But that would be one thing that would be a hint to us, and then we can kind of see, just based on narrowing that down, what other actions were essentially performed, and we can kind of just take it from there. So let's go ahead and review the review.dat. So let's go over here. We'll just delete this whole thing, and then we'll do review.dat as the file name and see what we can get. And it says there's no, I need to remove this destination IP address as well. So we're going to remove that, and now we have 39 hits that are available, and I'm going to remove the destination IP. I'm going to remove the destination port, and now we have all of this data that is available to us right here. And the thing that we're looking for is the name of the process that's used by the attacker. So we'll go ahead and add the process command line right here. We'll also add the process name right here, and then we will do the parent process command line as well. And we'll do the process PID. Why the hell not? Let's make sure that we have all the information. So at first glance, let's see what we find here. We have PowerShell that's been executed. We have the FOD helper. We have who am I that's been executed. That's interesting. That's an execution, or that's a command that's usually indicative that somebody's trying to get some information about their privileges and the permissions that they have, especially when you're looking at, when you're considering like a pen testing type of an environment, or at the very least when you're trying to do some kind of an investigation. When you do a pen test, or when you do an investigation towards somebody that's trying to hack you, you find these things that the who am I gives you the actual user that you are, and netexe is actually also something that I believe is trying to look at. For example, so this is the actual command, but then he's trying to look at the local group administrators and the users and the who am I -all or /all that would potentially be, okay, well, who am I and what are my privileges that I can execute as the current user that I am. So all of these things are actually very helpful, and they're indicative of what this person is doing or what they're trying to do. So the question is, what is the process that was used to get this UAC, the user account control? That's the big thing that we're trying to narrow down from this review.dat file, or this review.dat portion. All right, so this is essentially the end of the list, the end of all of these events. So we have the original Xcopy that was correlated to the review.dat, and the very next one is the run DLL32 that is looking at this command. So what do we have? We have the DLL register server, and then the PowerShell executable. And I think that for the most part, there's either that, and there's the cmd.exe, netexe, who am I, FOD helper, and then again PowerShell. So we have essentially just a handful of executables that could potentially be the answer here. But specifically what we're trying to do is we're trying to see if any of these things can be used for user access control or user account control privileges, or changing the privileges, because that is what the question said. So it says, what is the name of the process that's used to execute a UAC bypass? So let's try to get some information about our executable. So the Xcopy, we know what it does. We know what netexe does. We know what was the other one? Who am I exe does. We know what PowerShell exe does. So FOD helper is something that's interesting here. And of course we have the run DLL executable, and that's pretty much it. Like those are really the only ones that are available. So I'm going to just copy this to use it exactly. And then what we're going to do from there is we're just gonna go refer to our handy dandy resources here. Okay, so I mean, based on based on the information from Gemini, FOD helper has been known to be exploited to perform user account control bypasses, and also the run DLL exe can be used in UIC bypass techniques. Though it's not a direct single-step bypass like others, it's more often used as a component within a larger exploit chain. So both of them could technically be it. So then another thing that we could do is we can go to MITRE, and we can look at the MITRE attack framework. And then user account control. So I think I could do user account control, right? Either that, or let's see if we could do UAC maybe. And none of those things work. So there has to be a way that we can actually search for this, because I know for a fact that we can try to see what is going on, or elevation. Or there you go. So you have abuse elevation control mechanism. That could be a thing that we could do. And if we could go over here, UCMD download method technique to do these things. And so let me do a little bit of research on this page, see if there's anything that might be useful to us. Okay, so this is actually very interesting. So if we go back a little bit and we're looking at the abuse elevation control, right? So if we go, and again, just to kind of show you how we got here, this is basically the attack matrix. And under privilege escalation, there's a whole category under privilege escalation. And we're specifically looking for something that has to do with account controls or account manipulation that we see right here. So the very first one that I clicked on was elevated or abuse elevation control mechanism. And there is something for Raspberry Robin, which has to do with the variation of these things to abuse Windows auto elevate backdoor by bypassing UAC while elevating privileges. So when we click on Raspberry Robin, we can see all of the techniques that they've used. And at the very top, you have bypass user account control. So they'll use this legitimate Windows utility called FOD helper exe to run the process. So that is most likely the answer that we're looking for. So let's go over here. Let's paste this. There we go. We actually have that answer. Great. So that it was like we had to take a couple of turns to get there, but we definitely got there. So all right, moving on to the next question here. Now they have a high privilege machine access and the attacker attempted to dump the credentials inside the machine. What is the GitHub link that's used by the attacker to download a tool for credential dumping? So I mean, really all we're doing here is just searching for GitHub for this one. So we're going to do GitHub, press enter. So let's see what we get for GitHub. It says nothing. Oh, I still need to. Let me see. No, there's nothing else that I got to do. So what did I do here? GitHub, maybe it's github.com maybe? Like maybe I have to do it specifically. Oh, there you go. So github.com. I actually have this information and the IP address could potentially be useful for me. I do need a process command line. I mean, for this, it's literally right here. So it's like invoke web request, HTTPS, etc., etc. And it's Mimikatz. Mimikatz is a tool that is very commonly used for credential dumping. So we could just take that. So let's just use that. See if that works. Yeah, that one was kind of a gimme. Because in the question, they kind of tell us exactly where the answer would be, which is the GitHub repository. So if we just go to github.com or if we search for github.com, we'll be able to find the link that's used. And if you just know Mimikatz, or if you've done any kind of pen testing or junior pen testing, anything of that stuff, Mimikatz is a tool that is used for credential dumping. It's like a very powerful tool to use for credential dumping. So all right, after successfully dumping the credentials inside the machine, the attacker used the credentials to gain access to another machine. What is the username and hash of the new credential pair? So username and hash of the new credential pair. So we are going to go and now we're going to start searching for Mimikatz. And yeah, right? Mimikatz with a Z. Yeah, so We're going to start searching for Mimikatz, and let's see what we can find here. So now we have 41 hits with Mimikatz. I do want to start kind of doing a few extra filtering here. So we're going to add a filter, and we will use the CEO's IP address as our first filter. So let's see, it's going to be host.ip. And there we go. And we're going to operator is, and then the value is going to be the CEO's IP address, which I saved. So the CEO IP address is 10.10.155.159. And there we go. So we got that. So now we have 12 hits. Excellent. Okay, cool. So now we want the username and password that was generated, right? So I believe so, yeah. Okay, so we want the username and password that was generated. So we're just going to go through these 12 hits. It should be a fairly simple little thing to do. Let me see what I can find here. Okay, so for this, I want to do a few things, because Mimikatz just by itself is actually showing us the Mimikatz trunk.zip and all these things. So we want to see the one that actually has to do with the executable. I also removed the parent process command line columns to make it a little bit easier. So we have a couple, literally actually 7 hits, and there's only 2 of them that actually have a process command line that's running. So the first one is the privilege debug secure LSA logon passwords, and I believe this is getting just all of the hash values of the users that are available inside of it. And then this is the next one that they ran. So secure LSA, user IT admin is the user, domain is quick logistics, the NTLM is a specific value for the hash values inside of Windows. So I think we can just do that right there and just highlight that hash value. And so what do we want? We want the name, which is IT admin, and then we're gonna dump the hash like that, and there we go. Nice. Okay, cool. So we are making more progress here. We still have a handful of questions to go, but I think we're pretty much at the halfway mark, it seems like. Okay, so moving on to the next question. I have no idea what question number we're on, but moving on to the next question. Question says, using the new credentials, the attacker attempted to enumerate accessible file shares. What is the name of the file accessed by the attacker from a remote share? So he's trying to enumerate file shares. Now, file shares can actually be enumerated a few different ways, and we can kind of try to see what potentially can take place. So let's see if I just do share like this. Let's see what shows up with just searching for share. Okay, so just by kind of browsing and scrolling through these things, there's a few different commands that actually stand out because it shows, things for like shared click to run, and then common files, Microsoft shared, etc. But then there's this invoke share finder command that's actually interesting. And so we can kind of start filtering down, and we can even filter down by the host machine, because we know technically what the host machine of the CEO is, and we can even look for commands that were ran using PowerShell. We can even look for commands that were using because GitHub, right? So it says after getting the contents of the remote file, the attacker, no, I'm sorry, right here. Using new credentials data to enumerate accessible files. What is the name of the file that's accessed by the attacker from a remote share? So a remote share. So let's see I'll do invoke share finder as the thing, and then we'll see what that gets us. Okay, invoke share finder actually increased our results. If I remove that filter that we had for the IP address, it even increases it further, and it goes to 509. So let me see. Let's do the host name of the CEO's machine. So it's host.name, and that would equal to the workstation like that. And then we'll do 0051.quicklogistics.org. So that would be one thing. And then we can do let's say invoke share finder. Let's see if that, yeah, it still goes down to 221. I think it does the same exact thing as the IP address. So that part is whatever. Let's see what else we can add to this. So if we do PowerShell as another thing, so PowerShell.exe and invoke share finder, let's do that. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So we're getting 128 hits. So that's kind of narrowed down a little bit more. We still have GitHub inside of this as well. So GitHub is showing up pretty frequently as well. Oh, that's interesting. So GitHub is still showing up pretty interesting. So let's do, we'll do, and let me kind of do one of these things. Well, we'll do GitHub inside of the asterisk, and we'll do invoke share finder. So if we do GitHub inside of the asterisk, it'll essentially show us anything, because this has, you know, GitHub user content, and it might be github.com, or it might be any of those things. So if we do that, now we have 39 hits. Okay, this is getting good. So what do we have? So the attacker attempted to enumerate what is the name of the file that was accessed by the attacker from a remote share. So now let's actually look at the command lines. So I kind of removed everything, right? I just wanted to see what's available in our situation here. And now we're narrowing this down one more time. So then we are running these things. So we have, this is the file. So there you go. At the end of the GitHub user content domain, we see powerview.ps1, which is a PowerShell script. PS1 is the extension for PowerShell script. So let's see, powerview.ps1, not PS12, PS1. That's not it either. So what is the name of the file? I feel like that should be it. Isn't that it? That's interesting. Okay, so this was it was like a little bit of a, a shot in the dark. So what I did was I just removed everything. I kept the logistic, the host name. I kept the PowerShell, and then I added just this file. So asterisk file asterisk, just to see if anything shows up. So we have 170 hits, but when you kind of scroll, you can actually see there's this PowerShell file system. So it's cat file system. It's actually concatenating the contents that are in this particular location. And then we have IT automation.ps1, which is inside of the IT files, which would technically be something that I think would be using that IT admin username. So we have a few different commands that are run after that, but there's a series of commands that are done because he's also looking at, you know, ls file system of the IT files, and then he starts looking, or they start looking for the IT automation PS1. I want to, let's try it. Let's see if this is actually the answer. That would be interesting if it was the answer. So let's try that. Cool. Okay, cool. So they attempted to enumerate all of the accessible file shares. So this is what that means. When you say enumerate the file shares, you're running ls on the file system, right? So you're essentially trying to see what is inside of the file system. So file system, and then let's see if we go down further. No. Okay, I think that, let's see if we can find even anything else. It seems like everything else has to do with the GitHub stuff and everything that's going on that would have to do with like a file being in the name, but kind of ls file system is like a dead giveaway, that they're trying to list everything that's inside of the file system in this particular host and then inside of the IT files. So that's a pretty good one. All right, so next question. After getting the contents of the remote file, the attacker used the new credentials to move laterally. What is the new set of credentials discovered by the attacker? So let's go and do this. So we're going to go and delete this portion right here. Press enter. It's going to give us 2,986. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the username element, and let's see what I can find, if there's anything that's being displayed. Just if we click on usernames, let's see if we can find a number of usernames potentially for us, and maybe it'll actually show us that. So if I click on username, we have Evan Hutchinson, system administrator. Okay, that's definitely not it, because that would be implying that somebody was already logged in. So they would be looking at the username of the computer that's already logged in. So another thing that we can search or narrow down this from, we could look for credentials. So if I do credential, because I see credential, and that's kind of a really good tip. It's a really good tool to try to find that. So it goes from 2,900 to 70 hits. Okay, that's very good. That's actually very, very useful to try to narrow this down right here. So let's see inside of these. Oh, boom, right there. You can see it. You could even see it right there. So quick logistics, Alan Smith, and then convert to secure string, tricky password, 497. Look at that. Okay, so certain keywords really help in this environment, honestly. So Alan dot Smith, and then we do the tricky password. Is that not it? Yeah, tricky password. Isn't that what it is? So let's see. Oh, I see. The format is, I think that's actually the computer. So it's quick logistics and then / Alan dot Smith and then the password. I see. Okay, there we go. Interesting. Okay. So we needed to include the actual name of this is like the domain name or the host name. It's not the host name because the host name was workstation 51. So this would be the domain, and then that's the user, and then that's the password for Alan. And if we go over here, yeah, you can see it right here. So quick logistics, Alan Smith, that's actually the full username. All right, cool. Next question we got is, what's the host name of the attacker's target machine for the lateral movement? So if we go down here, we should be able to see it's like something to do with workstation. So there we go. So computer name is workstation 1327. So we can do workstation like that, and then we do 1327. Oh, really? Okay. So let me see. Oh, I see. I'm missing the N. So it's WKSTN. WKSTN. Okay, there it is. All right. It's like, dude, it can't be anything else. Okay, cool. So using the malicious command executed by the attacker from the first machine to move laterally, what is the parent process name of the malicious command executed on the second compromised machine? So we're going to narrow this down on workstation 1327 now. So let's go ahead and do this right here. So we'll do boom, and we'll do 1327 and PowerShell and credentials. Oh, it's only giving me 14 hits, and it actually has 14 hits using the keyword credential. That can't be right. So let's do this, and then we'll just delete the credential portion and press enter. Let's see what we can find. So 2,756. Okay, that's a little bit more like it. And we want the name of the parent process of the malicious command executed on the second compromised machine. So let me remove this column that I have over here as my filter. And we want something that has to do with the processes that were executed, which would technically be process creation, process executed. So we're going to go back to, what was it? It was the provider, or event provider is what we're going to do again. So we're going to do event provider equals Microsoft Windows System Monitor. So sysmon, Microsoft Windows sysmon. There we go. And then we want the, let's see, so the event ID for a new process creation. And the event ID for new process creation on sysmon is event ID 1. So we are going to go to here one more time, and then we're going to do and event code is what it was, is going to be 1. We're going to press enter. Let's see how many we got. We got 184. So it went from 2,700 to 184. That's very useful, honestly. So now what we want is the parent process ID. So I'm going to do process command line right here. I will do process name as well. And then we will do the parent process ID, or parent process name as well. So we'll do process name. We'll do parent process command line. And then we need the parent process name. So I'll just search in the fields for parent.process, or let's see, parent process name, right? Or process parent name. There we go. So process parent name. And there it is. So we have, this is the process parent name. It should be on the very, very last piece right here. Yep. Process parent name. So the question again is, to move laterally, what is the parent process name of the malicious command executed on the second compromised machine? Okay, so after a little bit of scrolling, we can see that this one kind of seems a little bit fishy, especially when you have the encoding option right here, and this is like an encoded command. Very obviously, it's an encoded command. So if we break this down and go through here to try to find that value that's inside of the encoded command portion. So let me try to get that. Look at this. This is massive, right? So we have the process command line or the process arguments, and any of these can actually be expanded here as well. And that is a massive, massive value right there. So I'm going to try to copy this whole thing. Hopefully I can get the full piece. So let me see. I'm going to highlight the bottom, and then we'll scroll all the way up, hold shift and click. There we go. Now we've highlighted the whole thing. We're going to copy that, and we're going to go to our favorite friend, which is the Cyber Chef. And we're going to paste that. I believe it's base 64 encoded because it has that double equal at the very, very end of it right there. So I think it's base 64 encoded. So we will do from base 64 as our script. Oh, that's definitely not it. So let's see. There needs to be something, because the encoding is it's very obvious that it's an encoded command. Usually it gives you some kind of a hint as to what it could potentially be. So let's see. Okay, so asking our friend Gemini what it would potentially be, because when I did the first layer, nothing showed here. So it seems to be multiple layers of obfuscation. So we have the first layer is base 64, then Unicode, then XOR, and then ASCII. So let's see. In essence, it's multi-layer obfuscation, hide the true intent, to try to analyze this decode base 64, and then deobfuscate the Unicode, and then understand the XOR encryption and trace the PowerShell execution. So, okay, boom. So there we go. We actually got some really, really good stuff. Look at that. So we have from base 64, which is where it took that. And then it says remove null bytes. That's the next operator. So I only have those two used. And from there, we actually have it. If PS version table major, and then it literally just shows us the rest of the command. And then from base 64 string, it's taking that, and etc., etc. So I think for the most part, we actually did decode this. So this is a full series of commands that he's running, and I don't even know what it is that he's doing. So that's the piece where I'm like, oh my gosh. So we can technically now take this and go into this and be like, this is what we got. Okay, so this is what we got. What can you see? And then let's see what it says. Okay, so there we got. So the first is doing a version check, then service point manager, web client creation, user agent, target URL, proxy settings, decryption key, decryption function, cookie, payload, download. So he's downloading something else again. Initialization vector, encrypted data, decryption and execution, and then C2 communication, obfuscation, etc. Very, very interesting. Very, very powerful stuff. Okay, so what was the question? My machine almost expired again because I'm just losing my mind here. So add another hour. I do not want to lose my session with this machine. We're getting so close to finish this. I really don't want to lose the session. Okay, so we added another hour to this, and we should be fine here. Let's make sure it's also the same thing on my secondary monitor. And it's great. Okay, so cool. So what even was the question that just sent me down that rabbit hole? So it says, from the mission, what is the parent process of the malicious command executed on the second? So the parent process, this is what I need to find over here. This is where the information is from the packet that I opened up. So I'm going to collapse the packet again and try to find the parent process of this. I literally just kind of went down a freaking rabbit hole, dude. It is the WSM prov host. So we're going to take that and we're going to copy that, go over here. Let's see if that's the answer. That is the answer. Great. The attacker then dumped the hashes, and the machine was the username and hash. So we'll go back over here and we'll keep all of these guys right here for the most part. Let's see if we can, I think we should be able to just kind of hone in on the Mimikatz, right? So that's the big thing that we want to try to find. So there should be, I want to say I could even do and then we'll do mimikatz.exe. Let's see if that brings us anything. That brings us 12 hits. And so there we go. So secure path or secure sec URL SA administrator domain quick logistics, and then the NTLM hash is right there, and then NTLM hash. So this is what we got. We'll go ahead and copy that, and then the administrator is the username. Cool, there we go. After gaining access to the domain controller, the attacker attempted to dump hashes via a DC sync attack. Aside from the administrator account, what account did the attacker dump? Okay, so looking for the DC sync keyword, I just did Control F on the results right here. So we have the, workstation 1327. All of that stuff is pretty much exactly the same. And we're looking at 184. And he took a control of the domain controller, right? So after gaining access to the domain controller, that's what we need to find out, is what is the name of the domain controller. So right before they run DC sync, this is the file system of DC01. So domain controller 01.quicklogistics.org implies that that is the name of the domain controller. So now that we know what the name of the domain controller is, we can start kind of narrowing down what potentially we can find in regards to events that were created, right? Processes that were created. So basically we can just kind of hone this down now, and we can turn this into DC01, because that would be the host name, because they took control of the domain controller. So now it goes from 180 hits to 54 hits. And the question is, aside from the administrator, what account did the attacker dump? So now we're going to look for a Mimikatz run of we're going to look for Mimikatz being run inside of the domain controller. So that's another thing. So I'll just go right here and I'll do again mimikatz.exe, and then there's only 2 hits that hits with mimikatz.exe, and then we have the administrator username. And what is this one? It says backup something, backup. What does it say? Backup DA, I think. Backup DA? Is that what it says? Yeah, okay. So backup DA. Oh, backup domain administrator. That's what that stands for. I was like, what is that? Okay, cool. So backup DA, that is the user account that they used. And so after dumping the hashes, the attacker attempted to download another remote file to execute ransomware. What is the link used by the attacker to download the ransomware binary? Okay, so for this, we can now get rid of the Mimikatz portion, and then there's something, so there's like an acronym for invoke web request, which is IWR, which is the thing that I've been seeing a lot. I don't see invoke web request happening frequently. I see IWR happening, and it's just an acronym for invoke web request. So, there's the Mimikatz download that we had earlier, and then we have this other thing right here, the FF Silly Tech Ninja ransom boogie. So it's like the boogie, and then the out file is boogie. So where is it? It's the invoke web request ransom boogie. I just need to be able to get that full link, because it's like being blocked by that thing. So we'll just expand on this, and then we'll get that link, and I think that should be the actual link that they're looking for. And assuming that that's it, that's pretty much it. We're done with this entire investigation, and we are officially also done with the SOC level 1 exercises. So there we go. Invoke web request, Silly Tech Ninja, ransom boogie exe. So we can just go ahead and take that part and copy that and go back here, and boom, and here we go. Fingers crossed. So there it is. That is officially the last portion that is done. And so I got a badge. I'm going to generate my badge real quick, because I slayed the Boogeyman, and that should be pretty fun to be able to disclose. I also wonder if they will give me another certificate because technically I've already completed this. So I wonder if they do give me a new certificate. Let's see. So we do have the view certificate button back here again. Nope. It is the same certificate. It's still dated April 9th of 2024. So that one is definitely not it. But who cares? We are officially done with this. There is a little thing at the bottom right here that says use this path to work towards the career in cyber. So we have a security analyst career that's available. So I wonder what happens if I click on that. It'll open this up right here. So becoming a cybersecurity analyst, and it gives us some good information about that. And I have not read through this, so I'm curious what this will be like, and I will definitely go through that. It's a pretty hefty page. There's a lot of good information about it. But I mean, we're done. We're officially done with SOC level 1, or I guess I shouldn't say that, because they'll probably add something else in the future, and then I'll be like, oh, we're not done, and we have to go back and do it again, or do the rest of whatever's in here. So that was it. We're officially done for now with SOC level 1. If you found this video useful and you would like to get more videos like this in the future, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, and drop a comment in the comment section below, especially if you have questions about what we went through today, or if you have questions about anything else that we've talked about in SOC level 1, or anything else that we talked about on this channel entirely. Definitely also make sure to check out the rest of the stuff that's on the channel. So all of the playlists are under the playlist section. So for example, there's the SOC level 1. Where is it? It's somewhere on the screen. I know. Boom. There's SOC level 1. And then there's also SOC level 2, which I have not completed, because I'm about, I think, like maybe 40 something % in the SOC level 2 pathway. And then I went to CySec 101 because Darnell Knight requested that I go and do something for CySec 101. So I did all of that, and we completed the CySec 101 stuff. And then there was the Linux Plus that came out, Security Plus came out, and then of course I'm working currently on Pentest Plus, which is going to be coming out very soon. And there was another plus one that we did, Network Plus, that's the most recent one that came out as well. So there's a bunch of videos that's on the channel, so go check it out. You can always click on this search button and search for the videos that you're interested in. And of course, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, and drop a comment in the comment section below so that you get your questions answered, and of course you get notified the next time that a video comes out on this channel. If you're serious about your CySec training and want to get access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers: the Supporter, Agent, Guardian, and Master. Each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The Agent, Guardian, and Master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me, bug bounties, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button there, or you can go to youtube.com/@HankHacksHackers/join, and you will be able to join Hackaholics Anonymous. I hope I see you in the Discord chats. If not, I hope I see you in the comment section, and that is it. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker/protector. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Love, peace, and chicken grease, and I will see you in the next video later.